All right, we're recording.
And what's funny is the topic of the day is optimism.
That's perfect.
Yes, that is the topic I've chosen for the audience today. Since you allow me to pick randomly through this book of mine.
Well, it seems like we were pretty optimistic with everything that was just going on that nobody got to see, all the technical challenges. We're supposed to start at 10 o'clock. It's 10:44, and we're just getting going because I don't know. Maybe we're older than we want to admit. And I don't know. It's certainly not because Samsung makes a better product than Apple or HP. That has nothing to do with it. We're in a good place now. So we're going to talk about optimism.
Yes, optimism.
Why don't you start? I feel like you need to get some stuff off your chest.
Let me get some stuff off my chest
this morning.
Listen. I definitely know that I know you are absolutely an optimistic person. I've been that way. I'm not going to say my entire life. It took time to get to that point of being optimistic about things. Because, my dad taught me. You can either look at things as going wrong all the time, or look at them as being what's supposed to be in your life at the time, or I'm learning this lesson to take me to another journey.
Right.
So I'm 42 this year. Yeah, I'm a 1980 baby.
Yeah.
I've been living the world of, this optimistic world of mine for the past, I want to say 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely has brought some great outcomes, I want to say. People have been, put into the gutter different times in their life, and you have to get back on that horse and ride. You get knocked off the horse, get back and ride, get back and, get up and ride again. It's real. It's a very true saying.
Yeah.
Because if you stay down, that's where you're going to stay. But if you think of the good, like I wake up every morning, my motto, you could talk to anyone who talks to me on a daily basis, especially home or work.
Mm-hmm.
My motto every day when someone says, "How's your day?" or "How you doing today?" I say, "I'm doing great," every single time. And they ask me, "Why are you always so happy?" I say, "Because I got a chance to wake up this morning."
Yeah,
it's my answer every single time. I don't deter. I don't change it. Every time I got a chance to wake up this morning, whether it was, a bad day yesterday or a bad morning, it doesn't matter. When you get a chance to wake up in the morning, it gives you another day to pursue your goals, pursue your dreams, be with your loved ones. People didn't get that chance. So why not be optimistic on a daily basis? Also, when you're optimistic, it brings more light. It brings more positivity into your life. I feel like the big believer in, the universe will bring to you what you call for it, call of it. Sorry. So if you call on the universe that you want success in your life, look, I'm not saying if you sit on the couch and play video games all day, that you're going to get success in your life. But I'm saying if you call into the universe that, I'm working hard and efficiently, great things will happen for you. If you sit there and, the world is against me and it's not my fault, and, the reason I lost my job, or the reason I didn't pass that test, or the reason that's what the world's going to bring to you also. So it's that whole thing, is the cup half full, cup half empty. How are you reflecting on your life, and how optimistic are you being on your path towards your goal or whatever it may be?
Yeah.
So again, that's why I'm a very optimistic person, because I've been put in the gutter a few times in my life, and I've always come out with a smile on my face saying, someone wishes they had my problems.
Who put you in the gutter? Why did they?
No,
why
different times.
No one.
Someone put me in the gutter, and when I say that,
no, I'm just.
Let's say, all right. So when I first got married, right, I got married 14 years ago. I was in construction then. Still, I was a project supervisor for a company, and I lost my job.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about this. our pilot episode when, having the audience get to know us a little better. But yeah, I lost my job. I want to say probably a week before my wife and I moved in together. Um, we had at that time, 2-month-old daughter who's now 14, and lost my job. And I was out of work for maybe a month and a half. I was able to find more work again with another company. And then I was with them for 2 years. Then our son came and I got noticed. But, again, Ken, we're going to have to let you go in about a month. Just giving you a heads up. Construction's slowing down. We don't need all these project supervisors. Kicked in the face again. But took it with a smile and said to myself, you know what? I have a little backup. I have a little nest I can use. Can be around my family for now. So I took the positive and instead of looking at the negative of losing my job.
Yeah.
I took the positive of my kids don't really get to see me because I work a lot. My wife doesn't get to see me because I work a lot. I can sit home for a few months and actually get to know my family.
Right. Who are these people? Who are these people I'm paying for everything for anyway?
Yeah. So again, I've been very optimistic because I could have been one of the people that said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Now my family suffers. I suffer. Your mental health suffers. So
Let me ask you a question though.
Go ahead.
Were you ever a person like in your adult life that you can remember where you weren't positive, where you took some licks and you were just down in the dumps and you didn't want to get out of bed, that whole thing?
No, actually. I've never been the person that says, all right, well, I had a bad day, so now I want to stay in bed all day with the shades down and
just throw it all away.
Eating a bucket of ice cream and popcorn. No, I've never done it. I get up and figure it out. And listen, not everyone's built that way. I understand.
Nah, they're really not.
At the same time, you can change yourself. And listen, there's different factors. I understand depression is a real thing. It's a very, very real thing people don't talk about enough, I feel. Yeah. They're starting to, but still not enough. Different things happen in life. My wife and I have gone through 2 miscarriages, so the audience can get a feel of who I am. Yes, did I feel like I was in hell when that happened? Absolutely. But I remembered that I can't be this negative person, and I have to remember that things happen. And I have to make life move on, because if I stayed in that dark place, it wouldn't help me or my family. So I had to be optimistic.
All right, let's stay there for a second, because this is a particularly poignant topic, because we've been there, my wife and I, and we want to talk about optimism. One of the hardest things I've ever experienced in my entire life, and I am a very happy-go-lucky, optimistic, super bubbly, the sun is going to shine again type of guy. But when you go through something like that, it is extremely challenging to be optimistic. You don't want everything in your body and brain says, don't get your hopes up. It says, don't get your hopes up. If you think you're pregnant again, I mean, you're just so cautiously optimistic. It's like you want to celebrate and shout from the mountaintops, and everything in your spirit says, don't. Now, for us, we wanted to, obviously we just have, we have one, but we wanted to be optimistic. We wanted to be happy when we found out we were pregnant again. And it was talking to other people that had been through it that gave us the ability, I think, to do that. I can't speak for my wife. I'll just speak for me. I spoke to other people that had miscarriages and their emotional experience and their wanting to be optimistic, but then feeling like had to keep things under wraps and not tell anybody because what if it happened again? And, one of my friends was like, nah, forget all that. Like, we pregnant, we're going to be happy. We're going to celebrate it like it's the first one, like it never happened before. And I really appreciated that and took it to heart. So, when we found out that we were pregnant, like I was happy. And I was genuinely happy, and there was nothing holding back. And I think that's just the way you have to approach life and everything. There's going to be disappointments. But you can't really control the disappointments, man. So why would you? They say worrying is like suffering twice. You know what I'm saying? Like for something that didn't happen yet, and then God forbid it does happen, like you was already suffering, you know what I'm saying, in your brain. And that, of course, has its effect on the physical body. Like, don't waste your time worrying or being down. Just You say great. I like to say amazing. I'll see you're great and meet you and match you. I always say I'm amazing. People say, Fenton, how you doing? I'm amazing. My phone charges overnight. When it's charged in the morning, I start out at 100%, right? My phone
Right.
does not start out at 40%. So how am I gonna wake up in the morning and be like, how are you? I'm like, I'm just dragging, getting by. Nah, I got some sleep. I'm well rested. I'm 100%. I start every day with a 100% mindset. And, yes, the day is going to be draining. I understand that. I'm a busy man. I have important things that I'm doing. I expect that the day is going to wear me out. So I have to start here, because if I start at 50, I'm not going to make it through the day. And that's a
Right.
mindset thing. My body isn't always there. We're getting a little older. Some with my sciatica. I don't know what's going on. But in my body, I don't always feel great. But in my spirit and in my mind, I'm gonna crush the day like nobody's business. And that's how I start every day, you know.
That's very healthy, man. It's great though. And anyone who says they can't, well, I'm not made for. I'm not built that way. Well, stop telling yourself that.
Stop saying it.
You're calling it into the universe that you're not built that way. You're calling into the universe that, well, I'm just a sad person, or I'm just I can't feel like that. I can't have those. Stop with your first world problems,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
Okay, stop with the first world problems. Yes, you can. If you tell yourself you can, you will.
You can.
And anyone, oh, but I've tried. So try a different way. So try meditation. Try exercise. Change the way you eat. Change your diet.
Yeah.
Change the people you're around. That's a big one.
That's a huge
I
one.
mean, that's a huge one. When people even, again, I call workout because that's where I'm at. I'm at work a lot, just like just like you. I'm around other people than my family during my waking hours, and they ask, "How are you so positive? How are you so positive?" Because I tell myself to be positive, because that's what I want to draw to myself. My circle around me, if you're going to be negative Nancy, I don't want you around me. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to try to help or try to forget help. Not everyone wants help. They just want someone to listen to them. I will listen to your problems. But if you keep on telling me the same problem a year later, then you're looking for attention. You don't want help. So Are you going to become optimistic and put yourself in a different pattern? Or are you going to stay in the same pattern expecting a different outcome? Right?
Yeah.
What is it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. Okay. So if you keep putting yourself down or saying it's not going to work or saying, the world is against me.
Right.
Well, there you go.
It's going to happen.
I choose to say it's going to be great. It's going to work out. Not that everything's happy-go-lucky. Listen, like I said, I've had my things in my life. I've made my circle smaller. Like I said, we had the 2 miscarriages. Raising 3 children is not easy, because when you think you know them, they change overnight, and now it's a new person.
One, and it's I don't know.
And that's the least of it. Then work-related things, and then family-related things, and okay, but someone out there wishes they had your problems. So why not be optimistic and say, I can change my circle, I can change my life, I can change my career. No one said you can change your family, but hey, you can stop hanging out with some of them that are not optimistic or always negative.
I want to talk about that part of it, the people that you're around. Exposure is everything. And when I say exposure, I mean exposure to different perspectives, ideologies, experiences. One thing that I think my parents did really well for us was they exposed us to a lot. They took us so many different places. They took us to nice restaurants. They took us to shows in the city. They took us across the street. We grew up in a pretty nice neighborhood, but across the street, there were like $1 million homes, like really nice houses. And you could see from a young age, like what life could be. We also have family in Brooklyn and Queens, and we go places and see how people are living. And there was just a lot from a young age. I think we had a really well-rounded view of what the world is actually like. And I mean, my parents, like yours, being immigrants, they also brought a more broad worldview as well. And I think all of that helped me to just be open to different ideas and ways of thinking. And, when I think about possibility, right? When I think optimism, I think about like positive outcomes and what's possible. So much possibility from a young age. Like that stuff was just poured into me. I say this all the time. I said, between my two parents, my mother was an entrepreneur for as long as I've known her. My dad went to work at Channel 2, CBS, for as long as I've known him. I said, if you go to work every day, like my dad, you get a check. The bills get paid. Like hard work equals a result. And my mom, I saw whatever she could dream up, whatever she could think, she could make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like different businesses that she's had in different verticals. It's like she just believed she could do it and she did it. And so hard work and imagination. And when I say like imagination, I think what people don't realize is like you have to see something. I heard a really cool podcast. It was Seth Godin, his Akimbo podcast, and I'm going to botch this, but bear with me as I try to articulate the idea. He was talking about like how your brain visualizes things and how it's so much easier for us to do things and be associated with things that our eyes interact with, right? He even talked about how the eyes are like an extension of the brain. And that's why they're located where they are. Like they're so close to the brain because they're actually part of the brain. So he used an example of like a placebo. He's like, if you get, let's say, and I don't want to be political or whatever, but let's say you get a vaccine, right? Some people have a harder time understanding the mechanics behind a vaccine than they do the mechanics of a pill, right? Because your eyes can see the pill in your hand and you can take the pill, put it in your mouth, and you see it's gone, it's in your body now, and so it must be doing something, as opposed to a vaccine that just somebody stabs you with it and you don't know what's going on. You don't see the stuff going into, where did it go? Like, I mean, you don't know where the pill went either, but it was in your hand. You could see it and you can hold it and touch it.
Right.
A vaccine literally is like it's somebody else has it. They don't let you hold it. Sir, Mr. Joseph, would you like to hold the syringe before I plunge it into your arm? Maybe you want to inspect it. Like a magic trick, like here, hold the card and take a look at it. Like, no, they just do it and it's done. You have no involvement. And he gave a bunch of other examples as well. I said I was going to botch it up, but when your eyes are able to be involved, it's so much easier for people to accept things. So if you've never seen a healthy family dynamic, if you've never seen having an awesome career, if you've never seen living in a nice neighborhood, like if you've never seen these things with your eyes, you can't visualize it.
Right.
And so the possibility of it being real to you is just like, no, this doesn't make any sense. And I'll use this example, and I may have used it before, but I had a girlfriend and I was working in the music industry. And I remember going to this, famous music producer's house, and I wanted to show her where I was going, to the recording studio, when I said I was going to the studio. So we drove by, and it's mansions, just serious mansions, lots of money. And I remember when I said, oh, this is the house that we go to, whatever. And we were leaving the neighborhood and she's crying. And I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. Why are you crying? What's so sad? This is very happy to me. I love it. I get inspired. I'm out in rich neighborhoods and I'm like, yo, let me figure out how I can get one of these. She was crying. I said, why are you crying? She said, because I'll never be able to buy my parents a home like this. And it blew my mind that seeing a mansion in me made me inspired and hungry to come back, because I was already going there. Like I was already here. I was already spending time here.
Right.
I'm seeing it with my own eyes. I see the finishes in the pool house, and I see, you know what I'm saying, like the theater that he has, you know what I'm saying, like in his basement. And I'm seeing all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, and I could see it, touch it, is real. Mm-hmm. So when you get around people that are doing things and you see what's possible, I think it's a lot easier to be optimistic. And everything isn't centered around money. We understand that.
Right.
Because you can be very unhappy in a Porsche, and you can be very unhappy in your $3 million house. Like if you don't have love, if you don't have contentment with yourself, if you don't have that peace and that joy from inside, like none of that stuff is going to matter. Like the money is literally just a tool. Jim Carrey is one of my favorite people. He's been preaching this stuff forever. Is like it's a meme that he says like, I wish everybody could be rich so that they could see that money is not the answer.
Right.
It is not.
Yeah, I've seen that meme.
You know, you and I have been blessed to, reach certain levels of success in our lives. And you know what? When things aren't well, they're just not well. And there's no toy, there's no car, there's no view, there's nothing that's going to fix it. It's all inside. And I think it's important for people to keep that in perspective. When they're, this day, sucks, or, my job sucks, this sucks, and, and there's no way out. It's like all that stuff is inside, and it's going to be inside no matter how much money you have in your bank account. It's always going to be in here and in your heart. You have to sort that stuff out. And the best thing that you can do is sort it out before you get the money. Sort it out before you get into a relationship. Like, figure that stuff out as soon as you can so that you can carry that peace and that balance and that groundedness with you through all of your ups and downs, because money ain't it. Money ain't it. It's not. People think money's going to solve the problem. All money does is make things a little easier. That's it. But I know a lot of miserable, well-to-do people.
I do too.
I know you do.
I do. You brought up a great point too. Actually, Seth Godin. I'm gonna say his name also. Love his books. Purple Cow. I think it's a big one for anyone in business. Just in general, I think everyone should read the book Purple Cow. But he has some great ones. Something you said just now when you say, money doesn't bring happiness. It's a very, very true point. I know people like to say it because they've heard it before, but they don't really understand it. I had a sales manager. His name was John Negri, retired now in the business. And one comment he made to me I was about a year into the business. I was doing very well on the sales floor. And he said, Ken, remember one thing. He said the saying, money doesn't bring happiness, but it solves a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. He's like, let me explain that to you. He's like, look, problems at home with your family, bills aren't being paid, car's about to be repoed, you can't afford rent or your mortgage, can't put food on the table, the electricity's turned off. That's all money, right? That's money related. If you can figure out a way to survive in whatever business you're in and excel to bring the money in, that cash flow in, it'll solve the problems that destroy, is that a strong word? Destroy your inner peace.
I get it.
So if the bills are paid and there's food on the table and there's a roof over your head and the water's flowing, the electric's on, you don't have to worry about those problems where you can find your happiness. Like you were just saying, you'll find your happiness that doesn't have to do with money. It's the deeper things like love, like your family, enjoying what you do for a living. It's nice if you can. You don't have to love what you do, but can you at least enjoy what you do? So that's when I understand what he's saying when he says, when John was telling me, money doesn't bring happiness, but it solves a lot of problems. But it's true. So, yeah.
I'm looking up, because I don't want to misquote it. It's Maslow, a hierarchy of needs. Mm-hmm. So anyone who's not familiar, there's basically like this triangle, and at the base are all of like the basic human needs. And then at the top is like all the extra stuff. Let me just read through it so I don't screw it up. So there's 5 levels. There's physiological needs like air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction. Then you have safety needs above that: personal security, employment, resources, health, property. Then you have love and belonging, which includes friendship, intimacy, family. I don't know why I'm reaching over here for this thing. I can pick the phone up. Friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. Esteem is the next level. Includes respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. And then self-actualization, the desire to become the most that one can be, is at the top. And it's a shame, honestly, that many people are dealing still with just like the bottom 2. You know what I'm saying? Like physiological needs, like having shelter, having food and clothing, and being able to get sleep, personal security, employment, resource. Like you think, like when you think about like a job, that's like some people's entire life is like, oh, my job. That's the biggest thing.
Right.
It's on the second from the bottom. Employment is safety needs. Second from the bottom. We're not even dealing with self yet and self-esteem and all the other stuff. And isn't it interesting that so many people's self-esteem and identity of self is wrapped up in something that is at like the bottom of, of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like self-esteem is all the way second. You can't say it. It's like second from the top.
Right.
We never even get to that place, man. So think about it. You and I, right? We're so blessed because we really get to think about the self-actualization and the esteem. You know what I'm saying? Like we've got a lot of the other stuff figured out. And this is going to go on a tangent for a little bit, but bear with me. I'm going to bring it back center, I promise. I was having a conversation with an older gentleman about raising his kids.
Okay.
And he talked about how it's so much harder to raise kids these days because they've got a lot of emotional concerns. And when I talked to him about that, and he was basically saying like kids today are soft, but he gets it because they don't have to worry about physiological needs and safety needs. Kids today are for the most part, in a broad sense. I understand there's a lot of people who are still struggling, but there are a lot of us who are well off enough that we're not out there hunter gathering. They're not walking 5 miles to school. They're being transported to school. They've got iPads and laptops and cell phones, and they've got every type of technology you can possibly think of and access to everything that they need. So what else do they need to worry about? They need to now start worrying about self. Now they get to take a look inside themselves and well, what about me? And at 41, having, a lot of things, thank God, figured out, I also am in a place where I get to think about me and what do I want to do? And it's like, we're still trying to accomplish lots of big goals. We're still trying to get our first house. You know what I'm saying? We're still trying to do things. We're still trying to secure investments. And I get all of that, but we're not broke and we're not starving. So you start to think about, well, what do I want? And who am I? And all these other things. And it's like, when you put it that way, I'm not my dad who grew up in Trinidad and Tobago and slept in a burlap empty sugarcane sack, and had an outhouse and walked miles to school. And no, he came here, he made a better life, made it good for us. Now I live in a nice area and I take care, we can take care of ourselves. And you start thinking about other stuff. I highly doubt that my dad had time to think about self-actualization and being the best that he wanted to be. I just don't think that's what he was thinking about when he was sleeping in the empty sugar sack.
Right.
I don't sleep in an empty sugar sack. So I start thinking about me. And, my optimism comes from the fact that I don't sleep in an empty sugar sack. My dad's not even, well, he's 70 this year. He turned 70 this year. I'm one generation removed from people who grew up sleeping on wooden floors in burlap sacks. That wasn't that long ago. What am I complaining about? How could I not be optimistic that today's the day that I do one thing different, or the work that I do today, or even I don't do any work today, and the work that I did yesterday or 5 years ago, and everything I've been being consistent about is going to pay off. And, that door is going to open up. That's going to answer, solve all of my problems. How do I know that? I say to my wife all the time, the only problem that we really have is we think about how to make more money. That's it.
Right.
We got a great marriage. We're healthy. We got a healthy kid. Spiritually sound, family's good. What I would like more money. We bought, this, obviously you were there. We got a 2021, car last year in the pandemic.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. We love it. My wife loves it. It's a beautiful car. It does everything that we needed to do. We just spend our time on, Amazon and, what are we complaining about? Every day is a great day. And I know I'm ranting a little bit, but for me, the practical things that I do to be optimistic, to kind of bring it back center and wrap up, is that I look at all that I have to be grateful for. And this is not new. Lots of people say this. Mm-hmm. Journal, Write down every day the things that you're grateful for. Write down 10 things that you're grateful for, 5 things that you're grateful for, 3, whatever number you want it to be. Take stock, take inventory of all that you are grateful for in your life. And I guarantee you it's going to force you to look at your problems as, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. And I have to say this because I don't want anybody to look at me or you like we're smug and we got it all made. And,
No, not at all.
And therefore we get to sit here on top of the world and be like, oh, it's all good. Of course. Well, of course they don't have problems. And it's like, if you only knew the problems that I have, if you only knew the challenges that we go through right now, I got stuff that I haven't even shared with you. You know what I'm saying? Like there's real things going on right now. But it does not change my optimism. It does not change my perspective. It does not change the fact that I'm blessed. It does not change the fact that I know that God has been good to me and good to my wife and good to my child and good to my family, and that every day is just another blessing. It's always better to be seen than viewed. And if I'm above earth, I'm gonna be happy about it and I'm gonna keep on pressing on. It doesn't change the fact that I have real problems. So anybody who's listening and watching, don't play yourself. Don't play yourself and sit there and judge me and think that I got it all together. No, I got problems. But my attitude, in spite of my problems, is one of optimism. And nothing is going to change that because, like the stock market, you've got some dips and whatever, but in the aggregate, long term, historically, it's always gone up. And my stock is always going up. So even if I take a hit today, my stock's still going up. Long-term hold, baby. Come on. It's a long-term play.
There we go.
I'm not day trading over here. Stop day trading in happiness. You know what I'm saying? Stop looking at today and, this didn't have, yeah, of course you're going to freak out. Crypto's down right now. Yeah, my portfolio's down. But I'm not looking at it today. I'm looking at it over a 5-10 year horizon, and it's going up.
Right.
Day trading and happiness. That was good.
I love that. Day trading and happiness.
Thank you.
How you just wrapped that up just now with bringing back and reminding the audience, whoever's listening or watching, yeah, we got problems. I mean, you and I are not sitting here on a pedestal like, oh, see, we made it. We have no more problems. No, I have problems. When I wake up, there's problems. But like you just mentioned,
sciatica is real.
I look at my problems and then I look at life and say, I'm going to be optimistic about it.
Yeah.
Because yes, I have problems, but I don't choose to share that negative, or not every problem is negative, but it's just the problem. I don't choose to share that with my soul. I choose to share where I appreciate the good I have. And that's not just materialistic, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The love in my life, and be, oh, well, I don't have anyone that loves me. Okay, well, love yourself for a second.
Love yourself. Say it. Thank you.
Oh, my dad and my mom don't love me. Okay, love yourself.
Love yourself.
Love yourself. Oh, my boyfriend, my girlfriend. Okay, love yourself. My job. Stop. If you keep coming up with the negative of why everything's so bad in life, that's what you're going to see. And that's all those blinders are going to, those are the blinders you're putting on. That's your tunnel vision of everything's so bad. Mm-hmm. Take care and look at yourself and say, well, I woke up, I have a job, or don't, I'm retired, or whatever it may be, whatever the positive things in your life are.
Yeah.
Stick with that for a second. Like you said, I love that you said it when it comes to journaling, keeping a journal. My wife got me into that, actually, keeping a journal. And you're right. I need to use it more.
Same.
I have started writing down. I carry it with me, actually. I have it with me right here. I always have my pen, my handy dandy notebook with my pen.
That's great. No, that's a really good practice.
But when I have an inspirational thought, I hurry jot it down. Mm-hmm. It helps. It helps keeping me optimistic. Again, it's become a little more natural for me because it's been years now that's the way I've trained my brain. Mm-hmm. And like you said before, you charge your phone at night and it's 100% in the morning. If you're not that 100% optimistic person in the morning and you start off at 50, you're not helping yourself or others around you.
Nah.
at all.
Nah.
So good words, Fed. No, I'm not surprised. I'm just always happy to
Oh,
hear them. Always
you bring the best out of me. What can I say?
happy.
It's only on Thursdays. It's only Thursday mornings. I talk about this stuff. By the way, I went to dinner last night, and I went to this steakhouse in the city. It's called Royal 35 Steakhouse on 35th Street. And I asked for the strip steak, and I got a ribeye. I felt like, remember that scene in Usual Suspects at the end when Agent Kuyan is figuring out who Kaiser Soze is? So like I asked the waiter last night, I said, can I get the strip steak? I said, by the way, do you have a ribeye without the bone? And he said, no, we only have a bone-in ribeye. Okay, I said, fine, then I'll take the strip steak. It didn't dawn on me until this morning that when they brought the plate, like it was a pre-cut steak and it was off the bone. Like the bone was on the plate. It just didn't dawn on me until today. I was like, I got the ribeye. I have no idea what this has to do with optimism, but I felt like telling you about this. I kind of feel like in my head there was something about being optimistic that related to the ribeye, and now I just feel silly because it's a rant about how I didn't get a strip steak.
Was the steak amazing?
The steak was decent.
It was decent. Okay.
My wife and I were chuckling this morning, dropped off at the train station, and we were like, you know what? We got first world problems. I'm sitting here talking about how I got the ribeye instead of the strip steak, and you know how much of a blessing it is to not be, because there was times when the conversations were. I remember I got my car repoed. Mm-hmm. I remember getting my car repoed, and you know what? I was still optimistic. I got the car back in 24 hours because I had people around me that loved me and that were willing to help me. So a buddy of mine came and picked me up, took me to work. 'Cause I had to go to work that day, and the car got repoed. I was on the phone with my wife. She was like my fiance at the time, and the car got repoed. And I'm like, they just took my car. They just took the car. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And that's the type of person that I am. I've been laid off more times than I can count. The first time I got laid off, I called was she my girlfriend or my fiance at the time? I don't remember, but we were together and I called her. And I remember she didn't pick up the phone. And I was a little bummed out about that. But other than that, I was fine. I was like, whatever, things happen. You'll figure it out. It's just a job. So she freaked out, I remember. The next time I got laid off and I called her, she didn't freak out. Because she knows I wasn't freaking out.
Right.
Because I'm so optimistic. I said, it's cool. We can figure something out. I'll get another job. It's not a problem. And then there were several times after that, when things came to a head and it was like, don't worry, no sweat. Now, we just have a posture of peace. That when things come up and they go wrong, it's going to be okay. The other day, something really went left, man. And I said, we're going to lay our heads down tonight and we're going to wake up tomorrow, Lord willing. Mm-hmm. And we'll deal with the next day. Every day has its own troubles. It's got its own worries. And, it kind of goes back to not worrying. It's going to pass. If you got problems at 1 p.m., it's only a couple hours until nighttime, until you lay your head down at night. Can you make it 10 hours? Can you make it to midnight? Like emotionally and, like in your mind, like, can you posture yourself to just be optimistic that you're going to lay down tonight and your worries are going to go away? And I know you've had a lot of things go on in your life. I've had a lot of things go on in my life. And anybody who's listening or watching, if you really think back to it, no matter how bad a day was, when you wake up in the morning, the problem is still there, but your perspective is slightly different.
Yes.
The pain can still be there, but it's a little, there's a little buffer, There's it's a little less, it doesn't sting quite as much because you know that you made it through the day. And if you can just be optimistic and make it through each day, you start to learn how to stand. You know, when people lose loved ones, you know, the pain never goes away, but you learn how to pick yourself up and be a little bit stronger day by day. And, you know, you don't want to obviously, you know, have to go to extremes, you know, thinking about like losing a loved one or whatever. But if you can make it through that, like you can make it through a bad day on the job, you know, you can make it through a breakup. You can make it through my car broke down. Like you can make it. You have a really good track record. Somebody said this is not an original thought, so I don't want to claim it to be mine. But somebody said something akin to, you have a 100% track record of, you know, making it through every bad thing that's ever happened to you. 100% track record.
Right.
Because you didn't die. You made it. So you have every reason to be optimistic. You've got a really strong resume, and, you know, you should keep that in mind, you know, as things come up.
It's true. I actually spoke to my daughter about that. Something happened with her at school, one of her friends, and, you know, we're not talking, and I heard she was saying something behind my back. Okay. I'm like, you're 14. I'm like, next year, next month, when summer comes, because, you know, school's ending soon. We're in June now, right? Around the corner. June is what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Monday? Yeah, you're going to forget about it. I'm like, it's not that big a deal. I know to her right now it's a big deal. But like you just said, you start looking back at things in life and like, wow, I made it through that. Guess it wasn't that big of a deal.
When you were in the fifth grade and
you gotta
Susie.
train yourself. And I think the earlier you can train yourself to understand that you have another day and you can rest your head and wake up and be a little more clear-minded about what has happened, what's happening in your life, it'll help you be more optimistic when and if it happens again, another situation like it, or the situation that you're in general.
Yeah.
Again, it's not like you just said, it's not that it goes away. It's not like your problem's going away, but be optimistic about the problem so that you can guide yourself along without being upset, depressed, and actually breaking your own inner center down.
Amen. Amen to that.
You know, just saying.
I have a cousin.
Stop.
my cousin Nina, we were on the phone one time and nobody had anything else to say. And she said, it was like a silence. And she said, well, I guess this is it. I'll never forget that. This is it. I got to go get my daughter like I do every week. Doesn't matter if we talk for an hour or 30 minutes. I'm always going to say I have to go get my daughter. It's good to have consistency in your programming. So thank you so much for making yourself available. And we'll do this again next week.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll figure out the Apple Samsung debate. And
yeah, offline, or we'll start another podcast about that.
Look, enjoy your day, brother. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, man. You do the same.
All right. Talk soon.